Rolling.
John, hi.
Who are you? Where are we?
Thank you
Okay.
for putting your trousers on.
How do they know my trousers are on? I know that lens. Oh,
There we go.
Okay, the trousers are on. They weren't 5 minutes ago. John Greyson, Cape Town, September 11th. Queer Festival. Out in Africa, Gay Lesbian Film Festival. We were all just in Joburg together. Shank conquered Joburg. It's the talk of the town.
That was the first time you saw the film as well, wasn't it?
No, and it was perfect because usually when after a film, they only let me ask one question, but I got to ask 10 questions. It was fantastic. No, and it was very upsetting experience. I have thrown away my cell phone. I will never use a cell phone again based on watching Shank. But it was a very haunting journey and story. And I think, as I said to you both, I was really intrigued by how I was trying to guess where the story would go with these characters, Cal and Jono and etc. And I couldn't guess where it was going to go. And that I always think is the test of a good story. You get us involved and keep us in the room by keeping us guessing and keeping us caring as well. And I found them very recognizable characters. I've never been to Bristol, I don't think, but these are characters who exist in many cultures and situations which exist in many cultures. And I think the universality of young men exploring sexuality through violence is pretty universal. I think this is what the culture tells us to do, and that's what we end up doing to, our great discredit.
Well, you've been described as the prince of gay cinema.
No, the princess.
Oh, so, to some the prince, to others the princess. But the lesbian of all lesbians, I hear.
Well, that's only in the local context.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
strictly a downtown Toronto thing.
But how do you feel about a young 21-year-old straight director making such a graphic gay?
Well, I'm extremely homophobic myself. I'm sort of famously homophobic, and I've come to the realization that actually all the best gay films are made by straight directors. So I would frankly say that gay directors such as myself should
Don't know anything.
haven't a clue, can't do it, and should really move over. Because when you think about quite seriously, some of the most interesting films for me, queer films in the past 10 years, have been things like Mangela's, Ripley, Ropeback, Zhang Li, Gus Van Sant, because he only pretends to be queer.
Yeah.
It's just a career move. In fact, frankly, most of us are like that. These are films which really captured something very, I think, authentic about what it means to be a man in society, and they can access something about homophobia that it's not that gay directors can't access it. They're accessing it in an honest way, and I think that's what Shank did as well. There was this very honest interrogation of male sexuality in its large problematic sense. Sometimes in the microcosm of gay culture, we lose track of what's out there, and I think films like those, like Ripley, like Brokeback, like Shank, remind us of the toxic and dangerous and poisonous and all too human relationship between violence and sexuality.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Very quickly, whilst we've been over here, there's also been a controversy raging in Toronto, stirred up by your homophobia.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's all that about, and how's that going? And,
Well,
and how can people sign the petition?
What's up is Toronto International Festival, which opened last night, is doing a spotlight on Tel Aviv, and it's a very uncritical spotlight. And in fact, it's tied to this Brand Israel campaign that the Israeli government has launched, and the tie-ins are blatant and pretty outrageous. I mean, Toronto Festival has a pretty proud tradition of being autonomous, of not just being available for hire, but really programming independently and critically. This spotlight on Tel Aviv seems to be a real departure. It seems to be have been interfered with, whether explicitly or just implicitly, whether TIFF just internalized those sort of pressures and incitements, so that it feels like a propaganda campaign for State of Israel. And so our protest, and now we've got 1,000 signatures, and it's Julie Christie and Viggo Mortenstern and John Berger and Zizek and Julie and I'm trying to name drop.
Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda, for instance, and Danny Glover and Harry Belafonte, writers and Israeli. And there's over 60 Israeli filmmakers and academics who've signed. This is a petition of, Arabs and Jews and world citizens outraged that a film festival has been hijacked by a state agenda, an Israeli state agenda, especially 8 months after Gaza. I think Gaza was a line in the sand for all of us. It's something we can't just shrug our shoulders and forget about. This was the wrong year to do a spotlight on Tel Aviv. And so we've not called for a boycott. What we've done is protest, and we've said, we 1,000 people now say this is wrong, this shouldn't have happened, and what's going on. And TIFF, to its discredit, really hasn't answered. They've responded by claiming censorship, by claiming we're boycotting things which aren't true. What we're doing is asking questions, saying why were there no Palestinian filmmakers included? Why is it all Israeli filmmakers? And why this perceived relationship to this blatant Israeli state propaganda campaign? And they still haven't answered. So that's
Are they defending your position, especially given the comments that certain moguls in Canada have made about you?
Well, it's been today. Robert Lantos was joined by David Cronenberg, and there's a vociferous opposition saying, again, accusing us of censorship, accusing us of boycott, accusing us of course, anti-Semitism, and this is an attack on the State of Israel, which it's not. It's an attack on TIFF being part of a propaganda campaign. I think, when people fight back and they change the goalposts, that's the first sign that they're on shaky ground. So we feel what's been great is it's raised a debate, and that's what people are talking about this week in Toronto. And so that's a real victory, is people asking questions.
And where can we go to support you?
You can go to, I hope I remember the URL, www.tiff.group. No, I can't remember it. Just Google.
Just Google John Greyson.
Google Toronto Declaration.
Yeah.
It's Toronto Declaration, Tel Aviv Spotlight, and you'll find it.